is great.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
clearly.
Hey, Whitney, how are you? This is Rob Cesternino and Taran Armstrong for RHAP. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I didn't get much sleep last night. My mind has been whirling, but I am doing fantastic.
Um, it was a 10-0 vote against you last night. Why do you feel like that the whole house, it seemed like it was a very pleasant goodbye. Why do you feel like everybody went along with the vote against you?
It's really unfortunate. As you've seen so far this season, every single vote has either been unanimous or there's been like a couple sympathy votes in there. I think people are just really scared to go against the current HOH. Whatever HOH is in position, that's kind of people have been voting with them instead of thinking for themselves. I think if people did think for themselves more, they would have seen a lot more of a benefit of me staying in the game to help further their own game and be in a position to help take out some big competitors because I'm not afraid to make those moves. So that was seen as a threat for the bigger competitors.
Yeah, we saw that you were told about the Royal Flush Alliance. That kind of came into prominence as the slaughterhouse sort of disintegrated. Were you concerned when the slaughterhouse was going away that that maybe something else was going to be built and that you weren't a part of it?
Oh, absolutely. The slaughterhouse, I don't even know if I can call that a real alliance. I think that was just Frenchie being like, oh, and maybe you go in there, and then maybe you go in there, and then all of us were like, why are you here? Like, I'm so confused. So it was very chaotic. I never actually thought that would make it very far. But I did see a lot of the royal flush forming over the last couple of weeks. You could see a lot of personal relationships coming together a lot more. And I did know that I wasn't a part of it, which is why I went to Christian, Alyssa X, and Derek X sometime last week to hopefully form something together and be a part of it. And unfortunately, at that point, it was a little too late.
I know last night we got your reaction to the Royal Flush. I know you've been doing press all day today and have learned about what's going on with the cookout. How surprised are you to hear about the other hidden alliance in the house?
I'm honestly not surprised whatsoever. Like, you can see these relationships forming. People aren't being sneaky about it. I'm surprised by the size of it. The fact that the Royal Flush is an 8-person alliance is shocking to me. I feel like there's no way that's going to work out and people are going to start backstabbing each other probably any day now. The cookout, I saw a lot of those relationships forming, but there are some people within that alliance that they really don't talk much game whatsoever, at least around me. So I was surprised to see them actually working in something. Like Derek F supposedly hates talking game. Azah hates talking game, stays by herself. So the fact that they're in an alliance together is like mind-boggling to me.
We did see Oz's goodbye message to you. What was your reaction to her crush on Xavier?
Middle school crush.
Yes, middle school crush on Xavier.
Who doesn't have a crush on Xavier? Like, I wasn't shocked whatsoever. I think everybody who has seen this man would have a crush on him. So I'm not surprised at all. If that is one of the reasons why she wanted me out of the house, I feel like that's pretty childish and she could have played a little smarter than that. But I understand, I guess, a little.
There's a great clip of you massaging his hand and her giving a death stare. So,
really? He was my favorite person in the house. Beyond the fact that he's very attractive, he is the person that I felt the closest connection with and could actually talk to without being overwhelmed because there's so many big personalities in the house. So I at least see him as a friend. I feel bad that she got so upset about. No, I don't feel bad. Never mind. I don't feel bad that she got upset.
Whitney, you got to put together your team as the person who won that first part of the HOH for the Aces. Did you have any of your draft picks that you wish you could have had a do-over on?
I wish that I would have kept Travis instead of Brent. We all saw, I'm sure, Brent's personality over time. I wish that I didn't have to be around that man as much as I was. So that would have been my first decision that I could have changed. But if I could have created my own team from scratch, it probably would have been X. Probably would have kept Hannah, would have loved to have Sarah Beth, and probably Derek X still, as much as I hope he goes out soon. Mm-hmm. That would have been my dream team.
Why are you hoping Derek X goes out soon?
Are you kidding me? Did you hear him? He was so blunt when he was like, well, Hannah and I will be here next week. Like, I knew immediately that they were working against me. I hope he goes soon. He was going to be one of my targets.
Did you feel like that he's working against you, or that it was just that, that if he was going to stay, there was what is he supposed to do? Like he couldn't rally the house to save you.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's still going against me. I'm still on his team. He should have still fought for me at least one more week.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he wasn't working with me, which makes him working against me.
I'll tell you, it was not his ideal scenario that you left this week. It was not what he wanted. But
oh, really?
they're actually,
he fought for me.
I wouldn't say he fought for you because he was fighting for Hannah more, but there was a plan last week. A lot of people wanted to keep you in the game because you were talking about going after Christian and Alyssa, and so. Derek X had actually been doing a lot of work to convince the queens that they should want to keep you and Hannah around to go after the kings for them. But then when Christian won HOH,
so they were already wanting to target their own alliance.
Yeah.
He's in an alliance. They're going to blow up, I swear, this week.
You might be onto something. Yeah.
No way.
You don't have the live feeds yet, right?
So stupid.
Yeah.
See, my ideal alliance would have been Christian, Alyssa, Derek X, and X. That would have been my ideal alliance. I feel like that's a good number. 8 people, there's no way you're going to make it very much further without it just imploding.
You mentioned that it was difficult to be around Brent. Could you describe a little bit what was the biggest challenge about not only living with Brent, but also being on a team with him?
He's so arrogant. I don't want to talk too poorly about a person, but he was just infuriating to be around. It was so hard for me to be around him that people would joke about the fact that he and I are most likely a divorced couple in the season. And that was one of the twists of the seasons, was that they threw in some divorced couple because we fought so much. He just thinks that everything he says is right. He thinks that he's like God's gift. He thinks that all women love him. Like he just has such this high opinion of himself. And it's just really hard to be around.
If I had to pinpoint where things actually started to go wrong for you, it actually probably starts with Tiffany. You had a good relationship with Tiffany in week 1. You kind of bonded over being parents, but basically by week 2, she felt like you didn't really talk much game with her, and thus found you a bit threatening. What happened with that relationship?
I didn't know that she thought that or felt that, so I have no idea. I thought that we were still fine. I have no idea. You're telling me something I had no idea about.
Well, there you go.
That was definitely not a conscious effort at all. We didn't talk as much for some reason. I have no idea.
Yeah, thanks.
Dang. I didn't know that. See, that's what I'm looking forward to. I can't wait to go back and binge watch everything and to read a few things and see what was happening that I had no idea about.
Mm-hmm.
And Winnie, what was it like being in the slaughterhouse with Frenchie?
We called it the Frenchie Revolution. That whole period of time when he was in charge, it was just utter chaos. I adore the man as a person. As a game player, it was exhausting and overwhelming and emotional. And if you did not stay awake until 4 a.m., you could wake up and be like, oh, I'm the target now? What happened? We were fine last night. Because his opinion changed so much. And there was so much talking behind people's backs. And at one point, he walked into a room randomly, pointed at me and said, as far as the other side of the house, I'm out. He blew up my game when I supposedly was going to be a final 2 with him. He was very unpredictable.
A lot.
Yeah, he was a lot.
I really enjoyed the conversation between you and him about the all women's alliance that he helped start.
I laughed in his face when he told me the name.
Yeah. You did. So this was sort of an interesting part of your game. You heard about this women's alliance, but then you did kind of learn that Frenchie, because he started it and then immediately ratted it out. But you did talk about wanting women to do well in the game. That ended up being used against you. Certainly with the men. Is that something that you were concerned about when you talked about this? Is that something that you would have stuck to? Because the main argument was, Whitney will never vote for a man in the final 2. So, it behooves the men to get her out pre-jury.
Oh, behooves is one of my favorite words to use, by the way. I love that word. But I mean, I don't have any regrets because I am very pro-female. I would love for a female to win, but I'm a lot more logical when it comes to my decisions. And if it were a man who made smarter moves versus a woman who was able to like coast through per se, I would absolutely vote for the man to win. Just because a female's in the final two doesn't mean that would have been my game decision choice for that person. Like I would have been a lot more logical than that. Ideally, it will be a strong female who earned her place to win. But again, like that wouldn't change my choice and vote whatsoever.
Okay, Whitney, I know you got to run, but thank you so much for making some time to talk to us today. And, enjoy your time outside of the house after 30 long days in the Big Brother 23 house.
Thank you. I'm ready to go see my kids and go to the beach.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Whitney.
It was nice to meet you guys.